Why is this not working? Hi. We're gonna do a Kahoot to review for our vocab quiz tomorrow. And then we're gonna do some reading. A Kahoot. Oh, fun. I have one of those somewhere. Not here. I think mine's at home. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true.
This is last year's yearbook. This was after someone threw one of those at me. Oh. Wait, can I look it up?
It's actually like there were several photos in a row that were like, yes. It was so funny. There were like, it was like a flip book of me like reacting and yelling. I think it was Bryce that threw it at me. Your pretty face and electric soul. Got it. Ooh, okay. Hi.
Why did it have Mr. Chica as this little boy?
Well, that's what he wanted. In fact, he's gonna be mad at me this year because I didn't use a silly photo of him for his portrait.
Oh my goodness. Did Mr. Stover like, he does not look happy.
Oh, these are nice. Oh my gosh, I really would, but I'm trying not to eat as many sweets. So I'm gonna pass, but thank you very much.
I knew Rachel Wallace.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
How?
She taught a music teacher at my mom's old school where I was sitting.
Oh.
And she taught music there. And then she transferred. And then I actually missed her.
Hi.
And Easton also taught at where you say the music class, and I was here.
Really? That's so crazy. I don't want to sign in. Oh, this isn't it. Wait, no, I just want free ones. Hi. Just give me the free stuff, man. Pro. Can I just see the free stuff? This is a poopy. I just want to see the free stuff. Can I get free? Use the free ones. Nope. God dang it. Online editable ticket templates. Yes, I would like to create a ticket. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, baby follow.
Oh, I've only got 2 folks in the Zoom. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and plug in, get this all set up. Your pretty face and electric soul. 10:57. All right, we'll let these two in. And see if anyone else shows up. I feel like people are often a little late to this class.
Oh my God, Chip with short hair.
You know, I can't even imagine him with short hair now. Hey.
Look at it.
It's crazy. It's like yours is stealing all the AC from everybody else.
It's actually warmer today than it has been. It's 69 today, which that's insane. It's better. It's been like 66. Wash just like hung out in here first period just to cool off.
This classroom isn't even that much.
It'll get there. Nope, that's not you guys. This is you guys. All right, Alyssa's here. James is not yet. Absent. Jenny's here. LeBron's here. Cece's here. Cade, Zane, and Randall. So we only are missing James at the moment. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is a Kahoot for our vocab quiz that we will have tomorrow. Oh, here comes James. Yay, that's everyone. James, there he is. All right. I have a billion tabs open, so let me find the right one. And then I will share my screen with you. Randomize, yes. That's what I want. All right, I'll make this louder in a sec. There we go. Let's get signed in so that we can study for
It's 11:12.
My Shakespeare insult is really good today. Rogue, thou hast lived too long. I'm ready for you to die. Dirty Dan. Oh my God. Is Nykerk playing? Daniel. Really? Glurs. Is that you? Why's my head starting to hurt? Oh, hot dog. I don't have lunch duty today. That's exciting. Means I can get some stuff done. Don Juan. Rain, you know Rain? Yeah, I just found that out recently. Oh
Wait,
my
wait, wait. Who's Beavis? Who's Beavis? Because I want to be Butthead. Wait, wait, wait. Change that. Change that. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Take out the sad faces, Mr. Clellan. Okay, hold on.
How did we lost like 2 people though, other than who I took out. I don't know how we did that.
I want to be Butthead because that makes sense, right? Ah.
Oh no.
No. Okay, well, take that one out. I don't like that. That's a stupid name.
Elated
Here.
Bob.
Here, I got it. I got it. Watch this. Oh, hold on. I got it. I know how to do it. I just need a moment.
All right, after Cece gets in, we're gonna play. So if anybody else is getting in, which most of
It
us are.
shouldn't take this. It does. No.
Oh
I separated butt and head and made butt feed, and it took it. And
no! You want me to kick this one out?
yes, please, and I'll just go back to my little faces.
Buffeed. Oh.
There we go.
What's that last thing?
It's one of the hieroglyphics. It's an owl.
Oh. All right. Let's play. Continuing without pause or interruption. Is it incessant, ravenous, continuous, or redolent? Oh, I tricked some of you guys. I did. Continuous is not one of our words. Incessant is the correct word, which, just for the record, I don't know, y'all aren't going to care about this, but continuous means the same thing as incessant. It's like pause, or like there's no pause or interruption. Continual means it happens again and again and again. Just a fun
That's
little.
English for you.
What?
Sorry, Mike was on. I said that was English for you.
Ah. Ooh, only 2 got that one right. Extremely hungry. Commensurate, hangry, peckish, or ravenous.
Me right now? Is that an option?
If that was an option, I would count it correct. Oh, shoot. You're right. Okay, let me get rid of this. In fact, let's move that there. Most of us got it anyway. Peckish is if you're just a little bit hungry. You're not quite ravenous yet. A level or class to which people are assigned according to their social status, education, or income. Levels. Redolent, caste, pander, or stratum. In the booth, probably. Several people got dunked. I can't tell if it's him in that one. They both got dunked, so. Fragrant or sweet smelling. Ravenous, fortuitous, aromatic, or redolent. Oh.
I clicked the wrong one.
Redolent. Ooh, you're not in your game? You sure?
I clicked the wrong one.
Oh no. Having or showing no morals or principles, not honest or fair, laudable, unethical, unscrupulous, or fortuitous. We didn't have time at the end of last year. Like we got them after we'd already, after it was already COVID. So all the kids who ordered them, I drove around to their houses and delivered their yearbooks. So nobody has signatures from last year. It's very sad. I always look forward to seeing what kids write in my yearbook. Happening by a lucky chance, fortunate, fortuitous, ravenous, laudable, or serendipitous. There's a 75% chance it ends in us. Noise. Almost everyone got that one right. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to get ravenous now. Lacking polish or refinement, having restricted or unsophisticated interests and outlooks. Stratified, provincial, parochial, or unscrupulous. Oh, that's why we're doing it now. There must be more than this provincial life. That's what Belle says. That's how you remember that one. To gratify or indulge, particularly an immoral or distasteful desire. Laud, cater, pander, or commensurate.
Miss McClellan, I swear I know these. I swear I know these. Okay, I promise I know these. In fact, if we took the quiz right now, I would know it. It's just that I just be clicking on things sometimes, and it's fine.
Only one person knew that one. We might wind up needing to do this one again. We'll see.
Might have to do it like, how many times do you do it?
We usually just do it once, but sometimes we do it twice. This might be a 2 times day. Worthy of high praise, commendable, provincial, commensurate, or laudable. Laudable. The way I remember that one is, I can't remember what Christmas carol it is, but I don't know why I can't think of what this is, but they say haste, haste to bring him laud, which means like hurry up and praise him. Haste, haste to bring him laud, the babe, the son of Mary. What is that? Greensleeves. And lastly, corresponding in size or degree, in proportion. Incessant, redolent, comparable, or commensurate. Nice. It's not hard to use all the rest of them. How'd we do? How'd we do? Beavis. Glurse. Smiley, smiley, star owl. I guess you were just fast. That's crazy.
I think I just did somebody nobody's ever done in Kahoot.
What?
I think it won right.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's not, maybe we should do it again. Our
Yeah.
toughest ones were pander, and think about like pandering to an audience, like just telling them what they want to hear. Continuing without pause or interruption, incessant. It's got to be our word too. And provincial.
I kept hitting commensurate for the last few because I was like, this one is it. This is the
Gotta
one.
be this. How do I, if I do play again, will it automatically do ghost?
Yes.
Oh, ghosts. Oh, but y'all are also already in it. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
all
we'll
right.
take out the ghost because then they'll be like, this is what you got the last time.
Oh, it doesn't let me take out the ghosts.
Oh, well, I guess we're playing against our ghosts now.
All right. Oh, a level or class to which people are assigned according to their social status, education, or income. Oh, different music though. Woo. Nice. All right, all right. Already feeling better about this. To gratify or indulge, like you do this to an audience to tell them what they want to hear. All right, better. Some of it's gonna, yeah, some of it's gonna be the ghosts. Probably a lot of that one is gonna be the ghosts. Because 4 real people got that one right. Continuing without pause or interruption. This was one of our toughest ones. Nice. Much better that time. Having or showing no morals or principles, not honest or fair. Unethical, laudable, fortuitous, or unscrupulous. Unscrupulous. Hopefully all of you guys got that right and it was just your ghosts that got it wrong. That was absolutely what happened. Happening by a lucky chance. Fortunate. Wink. Laudable, ravenous, serendipitous, or fortuitous. Nice. That might be our best one. Fragrant or sweet smelling. I agree. Because it makes me think of like insolent or indolent, and those are all bad things. Aromatic is lovely. Worthy of high praise. Lovely.
Like applaudable.
Oh, yeah, that's a good way to remember it. Applaudable. I like that. Lacking polish or refinement, having restricted or unsophisticated interests or outlooks. Stratified, provincial, parochial, or unscrupulous. All right, all right. Well, it was still not great, but better. Corresponding in size or degree. Redolent, commensurate, comparable, comparable. incessant. I gotta pick a new harmony. Nice. And lastly, extremely hungry. Peckish, ravenous, commensurate, or hangry. Lovely. Somebody did pick hangry. All right, let's see how we did. Glorious. Dirty Dan. Smiley, smiley, star owl. All right, all right. Every question was answered correctly by most players. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Stewie mispronounces stuff all the time. It's so weird. Like smiley. Okay. Give me just a second here. Y'all can definitely see this, but okay. I just wanted to check that email and see if it was important. Okay, so I will post the Kahoot online in a little bit, or maybe I should do it now while I'm thinking about it. Share, copy, go to the right class. So hopefully everybody finished. Public shaming. That was an essay that one of my other classes wrote about how effective it is as a punishment technique.
Yeah, it's pretty effective.
External URL. That's what I want. Gatsby vocab Kahoot. I can't remember at this point if we'll have any more vocab for the rest of the year. I already have everything planned out, but okay, so hopefully everybody finished reading chapter 1 or listened to me finishing chapter 1. Like we did with Ethan Frome, I'm going to make Tuesdays and Thursdays reading days. And you might have to do some on your own. I'll always give you some other way to do it other than just reading it. Like either I'll pre-record myself reading it, or I'll find an audio book or something to make it a little bit easier on you guys. I wish we had enough time left in the year where we could read every bit of it together, but I just don't think that's reasonable at this point. So my goal is to get through 2 chapters a week. So yesterday, or for chapter 1, we didn't get very far in reading it together. We just got introduced to our narrator, who now we know his name is Nick Carraway. And it's interesting that he is the narrator because he has not all that much to do with the main characters of the book. Like the main characters are really Gatsby, obviously, and Daisy and Tom. And when I say main characters, I just mean like they're the ones that the action is actually about. So it's weird that the narrator is someone who's kind of like off to the side doing their own thing. But we did meet several of our other main characters. We met Tom Buchanan, who went to college with Nick, and he's like very sporty, athletic, but not nice. He's not nice to his wife. And when he talks to Nick at their little dinner party, I don't know if you guys caught this, but he keeps going on about this book he read that's basically about white people keeping down all the other races. He's like, we got to keep them down or else they'll rise up against us. I mean, it's horrible stuff. And he does not come across well. And for the record, he's not a good guy. No one will be like, Tom's my favorite character. Like, Tom sucks. His wife's name is Daisy, and that's Nick's cousin. Some of you will probably have mixed feelings on Daisy. I have mixed feelings on Daisy. So far, we haven't seen a whole lot into her character other than she seems not happy, which part of that has to do with the fact that as Nick finds out, Tom has a girlfriend. Tom has some woman in New York, and he goes off to see her, and Daisy knows about it. She like calls during dinner, and Daisy gets really upset about it. But Daisy seems sort of like superficial, which to be fair, like she's very rich. Not that all rich people are superficial, but there's a correlation. They have a kid that is like barely mentioned at all. Like Nick tries to ask like, how's the baby? And she's like, oh, she's fine. She eats, she talks, whatever. But Daisy just does not seem happy. And then the other person that we met is Jordan Baker, who is Daisy's friend and is a professional golfer. And Nick seems to be like attracted to her, but he doesn't really know her yet. He's like, she's very intimidating, but I like it, is basically his feeling about her. He's like, she's the most terrifying person I've ever seen, but I really like looking at her. And
that sounds like a good man.
I mean, everybody's got a type, you know.
What were we
But
talking about? Sorry. I
how
was talking about
Nick
rocks.
thinks that Jordan is like terrifying, but he likes that about her.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
he's
100%.
He's
Oh
very
my God.
intimidated, but he's like, ooh, I like that.
He's a mark. He's a man of culture.
Likes a strong one. Yeah.
He likes he likes a strong woman. And I like Jordan too. She doesn't always come across super well. Sometimes she seems very like shallow, but by the end of the book, I'd say she's one of the more likable people. The way that she's described actually the way both of the women are described in this first chapter, they're just lying on couches and like they're not doing anything. They're just like rich and bored and beautiful, and that's their whole thing.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Very Elizabeth Taylor, yeah. Like,
she had like
several
8
times.
different husbands. Oh my God,
Good.
that woman's so great.
Yeah.
What?
8 husbands. I think she married one of them twice.
Yeah, oh man, this woman is a role model. But
Yeah,
I
she's
think by the end of this, because
Wait, hold up. She had 8 different husbands at the same time or different time period?
Different times, obviously, because she was
she
wasn't that bad of a baddie, but like she was a pretty valuable baddie.
Why do that?
She probably started getting married in what, the 60s maybe?
Yeah, she was doing the most. I think the most realistic example that we could probably understand would probably be like our grandparents or our great grandparents.
Yeah.
Because they would have like multiple kids, you know. But Elizabeth Taylor, oh, I love that woman. And these women remind me exactly of her just because of that. You know what I mean? Just because they were so great. And I think by the end of this, I probably won't like Jordan as much as I do now. I don't know. I kind of feel it in my heart that I probably won't like her as much. But
yeah,
I also said that about Maddie, that I don't like her, and I ended up liking her. So, you know, things change.
I was actually wrong about Elizabeth Taylor, and we'll move on because it's not super relevant. But she got married for the first time in 1950, and she continued getting divorced. She did marry Richard Burton twice. It's so funny. She married him in 64, divorced him in 74, but then married him again in 75 and divorced him again the next year.
She was like, I want to rekindle this relationship. And then she realized how awful he was. And then she was like, no, thank you.
Just kidding. So yeah, there several times in chapter 1, Jordan gets described as like yawning. She's like, rather than like Jordan said, it's like Jordan yawned. So she's always just like bored and rich and kind of haughty. So we're going to pick up with chapter 2 today, and I don't know how far we'll get, I might wind up assigning you to like finish chapter 2, but if I do, I'll make sure that you have a way to listen to it as well. Let me get my book open. This book is so weird. Like the format of this book is so weird because it does count each individual page. Oh, okay. I know exactly what chapter this is. Did you share my screen? Would anyone like to read today? Okay, I will read then. We got about 20 minutes, so this is good. All right. About halfway between West Egg and New York, the motor road hastily joins the railroad and runs beside it for a quarter of a mile so as to shrink away from a certain desolate area of land. This is a valley of ashes, a fantastic farm where ashes grow like wheat into ridges and hills and grotesque gardens where ashes take the forms of houses and chimneys and rising smoke. And finally, with a transcendent effort of men who move dimly and already crumbling through the powdery air. Occasionally, a line of gray cars crawls along an invisible track, gives out a ghastly creak, and comes to rest. And immediately, the ash gray men swarm up with leaden spades and stir up an impenetrable cloud, which screens their obscure operations from your sight. So basically, like this little area between, oh man, between the two, West Egg and East Egg. Sorry, this is probably like giving some of y'all seizures trying to do this, but it's just this like factory place where like everything is gray, either from like just a bleak setting or from literally like ashes coming out of the factories and the smoke, and it like makes people like gray and beige. Not a happy place. But above the gray land and the spasms of bleak dust which drift endlessly over it, you perceive after a moment the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg. The eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg are blue and gigantic. Their retinas are 1 yard high. They look out of no face, but instead from a pair of enormous yellow spectacles which pass over a non-existent nose. Evidently some wild wag of an oculist set them there to fatten his practice in the borough of Queens, and then sank down himself into eternal blindness or forgot them and moved away. But his eyes, dimmed a little by many paintless days under sun and rain, brood on over the solemn dumping ground. I was gonna just show you guys a picture of sort of what this looks like, because this is actually on the cover of some versions of it, and it's in every version of the movie. But it's basically a billboard for like an optometrist or something. But spoiler alert, it's also symbolic, and we'll figure out what for. The Valley of Ashes is bounded on one side by a small foul river, and with the drawbridges up to let barges through, the passengers on waiting trains can stare at the dismal scene for as long as half an hour. There's always a halt there of at least a minute, and it was because of this that I first met Tom Buchanan's mistress. The fact that he had one was insisted upon wherever he was known. His acquaintances resented the fact that he turned up in popular restaurants with her, and leaving her at a table, sauntered about, chatting with whomever he knew. Though I was curious to see her, I had no desire to meet her, but I did. I went up to New York with Tom on the train one afternoon, and when we stopped by the ash heaps, he jumped to his feet and, taking hold of my elbow, literally forced me from the car. So Tom is like not discreet about the fact that he has a mistress. He will like take her out on the town with him. Like obviously his wife knows about her. She's probably not the first mistress. And usually if somebody has a mistress, especially back then, they were just a little bit more like discreet about it, because it like it's not good, but he's just kind of, you know, showing her off like he's proud of the fact that he's got one. He's not a good dude. We're getting off, he insisted. I want you to meet my girl. I think he tanked up a good deal at luncheon, and his determination to have my company bordered on violence. The supercilious assumption was that on Sunday afternoon, I had nothing better to do. Oop. Oh my God. Can you chill out? I followed him over a low whitewashed railroad fence, and we walked back 100 yards along the road under Dr. Eckelberg's persistent stare. The only building in sight was a small block of yellow bricks sitting on the edge of the wasteland, a sort of compact main street ministering to it and contiguous to absolutely nothing. One of the 3 shops it contained was for rent, and another was an all-night restaurant approached by a trail of ashes. The third was a garage. Repairs, George B. Wilson. Cars bought and sold, and I followed Tom inside. The interior was unprosperous and bare. The only car visible was the dust-covered wreck of a Ford, which crouched in the dim corner. It had occurred to me that this shadow of a garage must be a blind, and that sumptuous and romantic apartments were concealed overhead when the proprietor himself appeared in the door of an office, wiping his hands on a piece of waste. He was a blonde, spiritless man, anemic and faintly handsome. When he saw us, a damp gleam of hope sprang into his light blue eyes. "Hello, Wilson, old man," said Tom, slapping him jovially on the shoulder. "How's business?" "I can't complain," answered Wilson unconvincingly. "When are you going to sell me that car?" "Next week. I've got my man working on it now." "Works pretty slow, don't he?" "No, he doesn't," said Tom coldly. "And if you feel that way about it, maybe I'd better sell it somewhere else after all." "I don't mean that," explained Wilson quickly. "I just meant—" His voice faded off, and Tom glanced impatiently around the garage. Then I heard footsteps on a stairs, and in a moment, the thickish figure of a woman blocked out the light from the office door. She was in the middle 30s and faintly stout, but she carried her surplus flesh sensuously as some woman can. Her face, above a spotted dress of dark blue crepe de chine, contained no facet or gleam of beauty. God. But there was an immediately perceptible vitality about her, as if the nerves of her body were continually smoldering. She smiled slowly and, walking through her husband as if he were a ghost, shook hands with Tom, looking him flush in the eye. Then she wet her lips and, without turning around, spoke to her husband in a soft, coarse voice. "Get some chairs, why don't you, so somebody can sit down?" "Oh, sure," agreed Wilson hurriedly, and went toward the little office, mingling immediately with the cement color of the walls. A white ashen dust veiled his dark suit and his pale hair, as it veiled everything in the vicinity, except his wife, who moved close to Tom. So this is Tom's mistress, and just from Nick's description, she's very different than Daisy. Like, Daisy is this like lovely petite woman with like she just kind of radiates wealth, and this woman is a little bit more, I would say, like white trashy, but she's got something about her. Like, they're like, yeah, she's kind of thick, which like back then I don't think that would have been a nice thing to say. I'm not sure it's a nice thing to say now. But that she is like very sensual, and like there's something attractive about her. "I want to see you," said Tom intently. "Get on the next train." "All right. I'll meet you by the newsstand on the lower level." She nodded and moved away from him just as George Wilson emerged with 2 chairs from his office door. We waited for her down the road and out of sight. It was a few days before the 4th of July, and a gray, scrawny Italian child was setting torpedoes in a row along the railroad track. "Terrible place, isn't it?" said Tom, exchanging a frown with Dr. Eckelberg. "Awful. It does her good to get away." "Doesn't her husband object?" "Wilson? He thinks she goes to see her sister in New York. He's so dumb he doesn't know he's alive." So Tom Buchanan, his girl, and I went up together to New York, or not quite together, for Mrs. Wilson sat discreetly in another car. Tom deferred that much to the sensibilities of those East Eggers who might be on the train. So even though he'll like show her off in town and like make no bones about the fact that he has a mistress, he still makes her ride on a separate car in the train because he doesn't want anybody who knows him to see them together. Like, he couldn't be more of a jerk about this whole thing. She had changed her dress to a brown figured muslin, in which stretched tight over her rather wide hips, as Tom helped her to the platform in New York. At the newsstand, she bought a copy of Town Tattle and a moving picture magazine, and in the station drugstore, some cold cream and a small flask of perfume. Upstairs in the solemn echoing drive, she let 4 taxi cabs drive away before she selected a new one, lavender color with gray upholstery, and in this we slid out from the mass of the station into the glowing sunshine. But immediately she turned sharply from the window and, leaning forward, tapped on the front glass. I want to get one of those dogs, she said earnestly. I want to get one for the apartment. They're nice to have, a dog. We backed up to a gray old man who bore an absurd resemblance to John D. Rockefeller. In a basket swung from his neck cowered a dozen very recent puppies of an indeterminate breed. What kind are they? Asked Mrs. Wilson eagerly as he came to the taxi window. All kinds. What kind do you want, lady? I'd like to get one of those police dogs. I don't suppose you got that kind. Ooh. The man peered doubtfully into the basket, plunged in his hand, and drew one up, wriggling by the back of the neck. That's no police dog, said Tom. No, it's not exactly a police dog, said the man with disappointment in his voice. It's more of an Airedale. He passed his hand over the brown wash rag of a back. Look at that coat. Some coat. That's a dog that'll never bother you with catching cold. I think it's cute, said Mrs. Wilson enthusiastically. How much is it? That dog? He looked at it admiringly. That dog will cost you $10. The Airedale. Undoubtedly there was an Airedale concerned in it somewhere, though its feet were startlingly white. Changed hands and settled down into Mrs. Wilson's lap, where she fondled the weatherproof coat with rapture. Is it a boy or a girl? She asked delicately. That dog? That dog's a boy. It's a bitch, said Tom decisively. Here's your money. Go and buy 10 more dogs with it. We drove over to Fifth Avenue, so warm and soft, almost pastoral, on the summer Sunday afternoon that I wouldn't have been surprised to see a great flock of white sheep turn the corner. Hold on, I said. I have to leave you here. No, you don't, interposed Tom quickly. Myrtle will be hurt if you don't come up to the apartment. Won't you, Myrtle? Come on, she urged. I'll telephone my sister Catherine. She's said to be very beautiful by people who ought to know. Well, I'd like to, but we went on, cutting back again over the park toward the West Hundreds. At 158th Street, the cab stopped at one slice and a long white cake of apartment houses. Throwing a regal homecoming glance around the neighborhood, Mrs. Wilson gathered up her dog and her other purchases and went haughtily in. I'm going to have the McKees come up, she announced as we rose in the elevator. And of course, I got to call up my sister, too. The apartment was on the top floor, a small living room, a small dining room, a small bedroom, and a bath. The living room was crowded to the doors with a set of tapestried furniture entirely too large for it, so that to move about was to stumble continually over the scenes of ladies swinging in the gardens of Versailles. The only picture was an over-enlarged photograph, apparently a hen sitting on a blurred rock. Looked at from a distance, however, the hen resolved itself into a bonnet, and the countenance of a stout old lady beamed down into the room. Several old copies of Town Tattle lay on the table together with a copy of Simon Called Peter and some of the small scandal magazines of Broadway. I don't know, I said the Broadway. Mrs. Wilson was first concerned with the dog. A reluctant elevator boy went for a box full of straw and some milk, to which he added on his own initiative a tin of large hard dog biscuits, one of which decomposed apathetically in the saucer of milk all afternoon. Meanwhile, Tom brought out a bottle of whiskey from a locked bureau drawer. And before we continue, this makes me not really like Mrs. Wilson. Number one, she's a mistress, and I know how we pretty much all feel about that, because we felt that way with Ethan and Maddie, even though they didn't actually do anything at the time. We don't like it when people cheat on their wives or husbands, but he is, and so I don't like that about her. But also, she's not rich. She lives in the Valley of Ashes, but she's spending Tom's money like it's nothing. She's like, let's get these magazines, let's get these flowers, buy me a dog, let's get all this stuff for the dog, and just not being great about it. And they even have this apartment together, but it feels like she thinks she's better than she is because Tom is her boyfriend. So she's like, let's have these parties and let's invite all these people, and it's not really up to her to do that. I have been drunk just twice in my life, and the second time was that afternoon, so everything that happened has a dim, hazy cast over it, although until after 8 o'clock, the apartment was full of cheerful sun. Sitting on Tom's lap, Mrs. Wilson called up several people on the telephone. Then there were no cigarettes, and I went out to buy some at the drugstore on the corner. When I came back, they had disappeared, so I sat down discreetly in the living room, and I read a chapter of Simon Called Peter. Either it was terrible stuff or the whiskey distorted things because it didn't make any sense to me. Just as Tom and Myrtle, after the first drink, Mrs. Wilson and I called each other by our first names, reappeared, company commenced to arrive at the apartment door. The sister Catherine was a slender, worldly girl of about 30, with a solid, sticky bob of red hair and a complexion powdered milky white. Her eyebrows had been plucked and then drawn on again at a more rakish angle, but the efforts of nature toward the restoration of the old alignment gave a blurred air to her face. When she moved about, there was an incessant clicking as innumerable pottery bracelets jingled up and down on her arms. She came in with such a proprietary haste and looked around so possessively at the furniture that I wondered if she lived here. But when I asked her, she laughed immoderately, repeated my question aloud, and told me she lived with a girlfriend at a hotel. Mr. McKee was a pale, feminine man from the flat below. He had just shaved, for there was a white spot of leather on his cheekbone, and he was most respectful in his greeting to everyone in the room. He informed me that he was in the artistic game, and I gathered later that he was a photographer and had made the dim enlargement of Mrs. Wilson's mother, which hovered like an ectoplasm on the wall. His wife was shrill, languid, handsome, and horrible. She told me with pride that her husband had photographed her 127 times since they had been married. Mrs. Wilson had changed her costume some time before and was now attired in an elaborate afternoon dress of cream-colored chiffon, which gave out a continual rustle as she swept about the room. With the influence of the dress, her personality had also undergone a change. The intense vitality that had been so remarkable in the garage was converted into impressive hauteur. Her laughter, her gestures, her assertions became more violently affected moment by moment, and as she expanded, the room grew smaller around her until she seemed to be revolving on a noisy, creaky pivot through the smoky air. My dear, she told her sister in a high, mincing shout, most of these fellows will cheat you every time. All they think of is money. I had a woman up here last week to look at my feet, and when she gave me the bill, you'd have thought she had my appendicitis out. What an idiot. What was the name of the woman? Asked Mrs. McKee. Mrs. Eberhart. She goes around looking at people's feet in their own homes. I should actually stop there because the bell's going to ring in like a minute. I'm not going to ask y'all to read any more today, but I might like tomorrow once you finish your quiz. We'll see. And if not, then probably Monday. But we got to stop because the bell's going to ring. But I will see y'all tomorrow. I posted the Kahoot. Don't forget to study, especially if you didn't do great on the Kahoot. But see y'all tomorrow.
Bye.